Hello. It's a great day, isn't it? We have all survived the dark times of COVID pandemics, and the hope is on the horizon. Yes, I am talking about the vaccination and the vaccines. And personally, I'm humbled and really surprised by the research and development efforts and the ingenuity of the companies that have delivered us those vaccines in less than a year, which usually would have taken 8 to 10 years. So let me tell you what Guardtime, the cryptographic engineering company established in 2007 in Estonia, is adding to that in order to have the authentic vaccines available and also vaccination campaigns efficiently managed during now very urgent times, but also in the times coming. It's a result of one-year development together with the Estonian and many other governments, also with the WHO. It's based on the technology that has been field tested in mission-critical systems in other domains. So I would start by asking, so what do you think does it take to make the authentic vaccines available in the right time, at the right place, to the right people? So it's a huge logistical exercise that starts from the manufacturers, so the supply chain throughout to the last clinic and everything in between. And then you need to know that the people are at the same time in the same place where the vaccines are. So it requires coordination and collaboration between small clinics, public health authorities, manufacturers, distributors, and then also several people and organizations around that. So in order to enable all that, you need situational awareness. And this situational awareness comes from understanding where the vaccines are they authentic, and also what is the need for vaccines. So because for COVID vaccines, we know that it might not be enough to have just one shot. It might be that you need 2 vaccinations. It might be that you don't get those vaccinations in the same location. It might be in different clinics, in different states, or even in different countries. So that later on, you have to be able to prove that you have been vaccinated. Again, this may be for travel purposes, but this may also be that if you go to another healthcare provider and they are making a decision upon a clinical work that they have liability, do they know about your previous health? So that what VaccineGuard does is it enables all those different stakeholders to have the same single version of truth about your health, and it also empowers citizens to carry basically in their mobile phone their health record and allow the others to see that information about themselves when they need. So I will finish with saying that if this pandemic is over one day, and I hope it will be, what will be left is the digital infrastructure and the services that do empower people, be it your vaccination or other health information, and you can enjoy health services across the world, and you can release that information to others when you want it, and that is what keeps us ticking with, this hope in the future, myself and my colleagues at Guardtime. Thank you.
And it's always fantastic to learn something new for you when you make your presentations here. Luckily, this time our audience have been pretty active this time, and we have received a couple of questions also from the audience side. So I'm going to go ahead and ask them from you. So tech companies are racing to build smart vaccine passports. What makes yours better than the other ones? So why choose Guardtime?
Because we don't build vaccination certificates. Because we build solutions that empower people to carry their health information with them. And the certificate, be it for travel purposes or for care continuity, is just one part of that. Because it is not only the document that the others have to trust, it is also the information that it carries. Do you know that this vaccine actually came from the legitimate source? I know that in many countries that is a problem, and there is increasing probability that it might be an issue in the future. So we guarantee the integrity of the whole process, not just one document.
All right, and like going on with the trust part here. So the other question: how can I make sure that the data from VaccineGuard is trustworthy and not fake?
Well, we do use a specific KSI blockchain for that, but we don't keep the data in the blockchain. We use the technology in order to basically have the breadcrumbs across the processes and across the individual artifacts that are created through that. So that if the vaccine comes from one source and then the healthcare provider has been legitimately given authority to provide the vaccination, so we know where this vaccine came. We also know how this healthcare provider came to be to actually be able to vaccinate you. And then we combine that information together. And we can also feed intelligent reports back to the public health authorities by not using any of the personal identifiable information, but actually helping to coordinate when and where those vaccines are needed, because that is what makes the system reliable, that we use cryptographic links, not personally identifiable data for that. Right. And you don't build centralized databases in order to have this information.
Exactly, absolutely true. I also said before that I have been already using VaccineGuard solution when I was traveling last week, and part of my travels were like completely fine. So in some countries, not going to name any here, they were really accepting and like just looking at my VaccineGuard like solution, and they were like, okay, you can go. You don't have to write any documents to have the PCR test. But there were still countries who were like very much struggling what we can do to make this process like faster, because there's a question also very similar to that from our audience, like how long would it take that to create a solution that would be worldwide database acknowledged by the governments? Like how far is the because I know that the European Union is currently like already the green certificate what we have, but how long would it take for the world?
Well, first, don't start building databases, because that takes far too long time. Start building services. And distributed and trustworthy information is what we enable to be used in services, which means that we may have just the information about the unique vaccines that have been, what we call them, digital twins by manufacturers. Then the next point is that when they arrive to a country, so we can link that these are actually vaccines that are allowed in the market. And the third point might be that there is a healthcare provider which uses the legitimate vaccine. So we don't need all that information in one place, and you can start building this simple use case within weeks. And then if you want more sophisticated services, for instance, you want to monitor the effectiveness of those vaccines, so you collect additional information after the vaccine has been given. That takes a little bit longer time, and again, you don't need to collect all the patient data into one single location. You can start making inferences from the very first, let's say one clinic starts using that, and you can basically start with a simplified clinical trial, and that is something that you don't require months or years to build.
The last question that I have for you also, that I heard that you're currently working with a project called COVAX with also low and middle income countries. Maybe you can just very briefly talk about these projects as well.
Yeah, I'm happy that the distributed information systems can help highly developed countries who have very fragmented healthcare systems, like US and well, actually even my own Estonian country, tiny but still fragmented. But also it can enable countries with our resource-constrained, low and middle-income countries, which need authentic vaccines, which also need some quality management systems. So you don't need to build brick-and-mortar healthcare systems, but you can build digital infrastructure. And that is what we are collaborating with the UNICEF, and we hope that all the 193 countries will have vaccines available in the coming months, and we can support that with our tiny bit.
My fingers are crossed for that. Thank you.